Chapter 1. Setting Out. Prologue. The Last Expedition. The cold bites at my skin as we set up camp on the slopes of Koletsiakol. My name is Ural, and I am one of the 10 hikers on this expedition. Little do I know, I will be the only one to survive this journey. We are a group of experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, led by Igor Dyatlov. Our goal is to reach Ural Mountain, but the weather has been unforgiving. As night falls, we huddle in our tent, trying to keep warm. The wind howls outside, and an uneasy feeling settles over me. Chapter 1. Setting Out. The journey began with high spirits and a sense of adventure. We were a diverse group, each with our own reasons for joining the expedition. Igor Dyatlov, our leader, was a seasoned hiker with a passion for exploration. Zinaida Kolmogorova, a lively and determined young woman, brought a sense of camaraderie to the group. Rustam Slobodin, a quiet and introspective man, often found solace in the wilderness. As we set out from the town of Ivdel, the landscape around us transformed from bustling streets to the serene, snow-covered expanse of the Ural Mountains. The first few days were filled with laughter and the thrill of the journey. We shared stories around the campfire, our breath visible in the cold air, and marveled at the beauty of the untouched wilderness. But as we ascended higher, the atmosphere grew tense. The weather became increasingly harsh and the terrain more challenging. Despite our experience, we found ourselves struggling against the elements. The nights were the worst, with the wind howling like a banshee and the cold seeping into our bones. It was during one of these nights that the first strange occurrence happened. We were huddled in our tent, trying to keep warm, when we heard a distant, unidentifiable sound. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, echoing through the mountains. We exchanged uneasy glances, but Igor reassured us that it was probably just the wind. However, the feeling of unease persisted. Some of us felt like we were being watched, though we saw no one. We tried to brush it off as paranoia, but the feeling lingered. Little did we know, this was just the beginning of our nightmare. Chapter 2. The First Signs. The first few days of our journey were filled with the usual challenges of hiking in the Ural Mountains. We navigated through dense forests, crossed icy rivers, and climbed steep slopes. The camaraderie among us was strong, and we often found ourselves laughing and sharing stories around the campfire. But as we ascended higher, the atmosphere began to change. It started with small things. One night, as we were setting up camp, Zinaida mentioned that she felt like someone was watching her. We all laughed it off, attributing it to the eerie silence of the mountains. But then Rustam reported hearing strange noises at night, sounds that didn't belong to any animal we knew. They were faint, almost like whispers carried by the wind. Igor, ever the rational leader, assured us that it was just our minds playing tricks on us. But the feeling of unease persisted. The weather grew harsher, and the terrain more treacherous. We were forced to change our route several times, which only added to our frustration and exhaustion. One evening, as we were setting up camp on a particularly cold and windy slope, we heard a loud, unidentifiable noise. It echoed through the mountains, sending chills down our spines. We exchanged uneasy glances, but Igor insisted it was just the wind. We tried to believe him, but the feeling of dread was hard to shake off. Chapter 3. The Storm. The weather took a turn for the worse as we continued our ascent. A fierce storm rolled in, bringing with it biting winds and heavy snowfall. We struggled to make progress, our movements slow and labored. The cold was relentless, seeping into our bones and sapping our strength. We decided to set up camp on the slopes of Koletsiakol, hoping to wait out the storm. It was a decision we would come to regret. The wind howled outside, and the temperature plummeted. We huddled together in our tent, trying to keep warm. The atmosphere was tense, and the strange occurrences continued. That night, as we lay in our tent, we heard the unearthly sounds again. This time, they were louder and more distinct. It was as if something, or someone, was trying to communicate with us. Panic set in, and we scrambled to escape. I grabbed my knife and cut through the tent, desperate to get out. We fled into the freezing night, barely dressed, and the cold quickly seeped into our bones. Chapter 4: Night Terrors. We ran blindly through the snow, disoriented and terrified. The air was thick with fear, and I could sense an unseen presence watching us. My friends were scattered, their screams echoing in the darkness. I stumbled and fell, my body growing numb from the cold. I could barely move, but I forced myself to keep going. Hours passed, and I found myself alone. The snow was relentless, and I could feel my strength fading. I collapsed near a tree, my vision blurring. As I drifted in and out of consciousness, I saw strange lights in the sky and heard whispers in the wind. My mind raced with questions. What happened to my friends? What is this malevolent force that hunts us? Chapter 5: The Search. When I was finally found by rescuers, I was barely alive. They told me that the others were not so lucky. Their bodies were discovered with horrific injuries, crushed ribs, fractured skulls, and missing eyes and tongues. The official report claimed they died from hypothermia, but I knew there was more to the story. Something sinister lurked in the Dyatlov Pass, and it claimed the lives of my friends. The rescue team was baffled by the bizarre and unexplained injuries. They found our tent torn open from the inside, and our belongings scattered across the snow. The investigation began, but the more they uncovered, the more questions arose. Theories ranged from an avalanche to secret military tests, but none could fully account for the strange details. Chapter 6: The Investigation. The official investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident was thorough but inconclusive. The authorities concluded that the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. But this only fueled more speculation. Some believed it was an avalanche, while others suggested it was a secret military experiment gone wrong. There were even whispers of paranormal activity. Despite numerous investigations and theories, the true cause of the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unknown. The case was reopened in 2019, but no new evidence has come to light, leaving the mystery as cold and haunting as the Ural Mountains themselves. Chapter 7: Theories and Speculations. Over the years, countless theories have emerged to explain the Dyatlov Pass incident. Some believe it was an avalanche, while others suggest it was a secret military experiment gone wrong. There are even those who believe it was the work of extraterrestrial beings or a paranormal entity. Experts and locals have their own interpretations, each adding to the mystery. Some point to the strange lights seen in the sky, while others focus on the bizarre injuries and the high levels of radiation found on some of the hikers' clothing. Despite the numerous theories, none can fully explain what happened that fateful night. Chapter 8: The Haunting Legacy. The Dyatlov Pass incident has left a lasting impact on those who were involved and the families of the victims. For me, the memories of that night are a haunting reminder of the unknown forces that may lurk in the wilderness. The unexplained deaths of my friends continue to intrigue and terrify those who seek to uncover the truth. The incident has also become a part of popular culture, inspiring books, documentaries, and movies. It serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers and mysteries that lie in the wilderness, and the human desire to understand the unknown. Epilogue. the unanswered questions. As the sole survivor, I am left with haunting memories and unanswered questions. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most baffling mysteries in history. Despite numerous investigations and theories, the true cause of the hikers' deaths is still unknown. This is my story, a tale of survival and terror in the unforgiving wilderness.